Hey there, we're Talia and Ophira Edut, identical twins and astrologers. Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, where we bring the stars down to Earth. It's the week of March 25th to 31st, and there's only one thing that astrologers are talking about right now, and that is eclipse season. Welcome to eclipse season. I'm Tali from the AstroTwins. So happy that you're tuning in today. So what the heck is eclipse season? And what does it mean for me and my life and the world? Well, we're going to talk about that today, so buckle up. Now, eclipses always come in pairs, 2 weeks apart, and they are either on a new moon, which is a solar eclipse, or a full moon, which is a lunar eclipse. And oftentimes they are happening in opposite signs. We get these 2-year eclipse cycles, 18 months to 2-year eclipse cycles that happen regularly. And they are always, at least for a good part of it, going back and forth between a pair of opposite signs. In this case, we're right smack dab in the middle of the Aries Libra eclipse series that began on April 20th of 2023, so last year, and doesn't end until March 29th, 2025, next year. So we're at the halfway point, and we're dealing with themes of Aries and Libra. Aries is a sign of war, of leadership, of self-sovereignty, of radicalism, anarchy in some ways, new thought. And then Libra is a sign of peace, love, harmony, relationships, diplomacy, but also, Aries is not afraid of conflict. Libra can be conflict avoidant. And I would say on a global scale, we have been dealing with every single one of those things in a heightened intensity since the series began. So the first eclipse, the opening ceremony of spring eclipse season 2024 this one begins with Libra, and it's the full moon, which makes it a lunar eclipse. And so we'll see the full moon turning that bloodish red color as the shadow of the earth is cast across it. And full moons are completion points of new moons. So 6 months earlier, we had a new moon in Libra that also happened to be a solar eclipse. That was on October 14th, 7 days after October 7th, which has changed the landscape of the world forever. So what's going on with that? Libra's a sign of peace. Well, peace is not popular right now. There's a feeling of, I've got to fight, I got to avenge my enemies, I got to free these people, I've got to stand up for these people. This is my people, me, you, mine. And it's not just happening in the Middle East, it's happening in Haiti, it's happening in the Sudan, it's happening in Russia and Ukraine, it's happening in every single one of our personal lives if we want to take a look at it. And, standing for peace since that October 14th eclipse has not been a popular position at all. And understandably so when, ongoing atrocities happen. Peace seems like the last thing to reach for. And yet, over and over again throughout history, humans find that, as Marvin Gaye said, only love will conquer hate. That is a truth. Hate and fighting and war, some people believe, are unavoidable. I'd like to think that humans could figure things out in different ways, but we all have to do what Libras do best, which is cooperate around that, get in alignment, agree, partner, and that's not happening right now. So what will we see on Monday? What is this? So we're going to see this shadow, like peace, peace and love. Will it, what has happened in the last 6 months since we set that aside or went underground, we're afraid to say, I believe in peace. I don't want to fight. And then there's been a lot more Aries energy out there. Anytime you say, oh, why can't we get along? We should get along. There are 10 people rising up to give you a historical checklist of why that can't be. And so I really do believe these eclipses have driven love and peace underground since that new moon. And now we're in a full moon cycle. And that gives me some hope that we'll be able to have conversations about ceasefires, diplomacy, and not to knock Aries energy, but Aries, Aries is a trailblazer. Aries gives us some fight, but without Libra to balance it out, well, we've been struggling as humans big time. Interestingly enough, two world leaders who are Libras are absolutely part of driving peace underground. Netanyahu and Putin are both born with Libra suns. So go figure. Libra's a cardinal sign, and sometimes people may believe that they're doing what's just and doing what's best, but we can convince ourselves of all kinds of things. But we have to pull back and look at what that blind rage has caused. Now, that is going to probably be an eye-opener around April 8th. But this eclipse quarter is opening the portal. We call the 2 weeks between the two eclipses, the eclipse corridor, because it's almost like you are going to be walking down this long hallway where you can't really, I think of it as like being in kind of a hotel room, like The Shining, where you're walking down this long hallway and you can't see outside. You just can see these doors. Do I go in this door? Is this my door? Is this the door to go into? That's what it may feel like over the next couple of weeks as we're walking from this awakened sense of like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm not creating harmony, even though I say I'm for peace and justice. Or, oh my God, I'm being too naive. I haven't wanted to deal. I want to be in la la land, and I'm not also, being part of some sort of solution, and we're midway through this 2-year eclipse series, by the way. This Libra Aries eclipses have another year to go. They've gone on for a year. So I think this is more of an eye-opener than okay, we're arriving on some creative solutions here, but we've had a year of like just turbulence, and now we can go. I'm at a balance point, and I need to have a more balanced perspective. There's a lot of things I'm angry about. There's a lot of upsetting things, but I want to have some strategies here. What strategies will actually, where am I going? What am I looking to achieve here? What's the outcome? There is a lot of that kind of energy in this eclipse series. So April 8th, we have a total solar eclipse in Aries again. So the sun, the light of the sun will be blocked out by the moon and you'll see it in the path of totality in many places in the United States. I know a lot of people are doing some eclipse chasing and going and, getting their eclipse goggles ready and camping out and just to be in that presence, that eerie presence of the sky going dark in the middle of the day. That is why eclipses that's why they've earned their reputation. They're not your usual new moon or full moon, and something always seems to happen that is out of left field, whether it's for the world or in your personal life. And it can be a good thing, by the way. I think there can be some relationship resolution with the Libra lunar eclipse on this Monday, March 25th. Maybe you're wondering what's going on, or what are we doing here, or how can we move forward, or should we stay together, or how do we divide up our assets? Those types of conversations are going to get some acceleration and momentum. And you'll feel them over the next couple weeks while in the eclipse corridor. And then that Aries total solar new moon eclipse on April 8th may bring about some reckoning for people who have abused their power. Because Aries can be a freedom fighter too. Aries can be a liberator. Aries can be a trailblazer. Aries can be, here, let's look at this totally new thing. Aries is the first sign. So it's like, when will that darkened daytime sky almost be like wiping the slate clean in some ways? There may be some starts that people make in your personal lives where you're suddenly feel ready to start over. I mean, last year on April 20th, that first eclipse in Aries, I have lived in my house for 5 years at that time, and knew I wanted to work on my yard, but I was afraid to chop down a couple of trees that had to go because I knew it would just expose my house and make me feel really, and that was not something I wanted to feel during the pandemic, especially. I liked kind of being enclosed, but I got the courage to get that energy moving, even though it was a little bit, rash and sudden. I was like, what's the big deal? Just call the arborist. You've had their card for 2 years and do it. And I did, and things are moving now. And yeah, that's just kind of an example of the impulsive energy that might come up. I didn't actually have a good enough plan in place for after the trees were cut down. So, if I could go back, I would have thought it through a little bit and not just done it on that day, but actually put things together a little more step by step. But it happened. The fact of the matter is, something stuck, got moving, and you may find that for yourself over the coming 2 weeks. Now, what can you do to kind of protect yourself during an eclipse? You definitely, and I want to say that Mercury, this is not, and we'll talk about this next week more, but Mercury is going retrograde on Monday, April 1st, all the way till April 25th. It's going retrograde in Aries. So that may tamp down some of the anger and the warmongering a little bit too, but also pump up the confusion and scrambled signals and should I, shouldn't I-ness of it all. So you absolutely don't want to be impulsive, but you also don't want to, hesitate so much. So there's maybe no way around it that you might have to take. There's going to be a little bit of a risk involved in, not a foolish risk, go for a calculated one, but there's some risk involved here in letting go of something in order to make way for something new, or rebalancing what's out of balance. See what happens. Monday anything that kind of, whether it's your finances that are out of balance or something in a personal relationship, don't, cover your eyes. Eclipses want us to look, they force us to look at things. Wow, the moon is turning red. Oh, the sky is dark. It's like, you can't help but notice. That's why we say it's a time for doing shadow work, for looking in the shadows. But that, the scariest part is taking that first look and maybe some of the inventory and realization. But when you're armed with knowledge and you know what's going on, you can actually at least create some solutions or start moving towards those. Libra is also the sign of togetherness and partnership. So you may find that you need to bring in some people, bring in some support for yourself to actually get things off the ground. So don't be afraid to call for that. You want to avoid thinking that you should do everything by yourself. And that's, I think, Aries being this very stubbornly independent sign, the fact that Mercury will be retrograde in Aries and the total solar eclipse is in Aries, which, is kind of darkening the sky. They're blacking out the Aries sun, is a message to, lean away from that, and challenge yourself to find people who are collaborators. Okay, so it's gonna be interesting, but I do want to say that peace may become popular again. I certainly do hope so, because it's been underground since October 14th for sure. And I'm hoping that peace, love, and harmony don't get treated like, naive Pollyanna principles, but more things that we can strive for and discover new ways of cultivating, and find a way back to that humanity that lives in all of us. See you next week. As always, thanks for listening. You can discover more of your star power at astrocell.com, and be sure to follow us on social at AstroTwins. Join us next time for more cosmic fun.